Welcome to the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, presented by 13 Fishing Canada. Make your own luck. We're here to scratch that angling itch and talk everything fishing. Join us as we sit down with special guests from across the industry. Now, here's your hosts, Logan Lewis
and Jesse Cadron.
Welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast. We're back to regularly scheduled program here with our interview episodes coming back. This is episode 115. It's actually going to be a spring snow goose episode, so something a little different here, but it's pretty interesting, and this is going to be part one of two because it ended up being about 2 hours.
Yeah,
so
we had a lot of good conversation coming here this way.
Yeah, for sure. You just heard him there. It's my co-host, Jesse Cadron. And we're pretty excited to get back into these regular episodes here. March Madness was a ton of fun. Lots of great fish, some great prizes. So thanks to all the sponsors for that as well. And yeah, we're getting back into the regularly scheduled program. This is a mid-April episode. So other than maybe some stock trout, the fishing is quieter now. I've been a little bit luckier that way, or enjoying it, not luckier. Anyone can not go fishing when they want to, so you don't have to get lucky to not do that. But I've been enjoying not have like hockey ended, the March ended there, and I could be doing stock trout, but I am catching up on some much needed reorganization, maintenance, everything like that. Got the ice fishing shelters put away in the shed, got more room in the garage now, all that. So things are good there. What have you been up to this April?
You talking to me?
Yeah, talking to
you. So far I've done a little bit of stock trout fishing, and I got plans to head out again here in a couple
when
days.
This episode drops.
Yeah, when this episode drops, I'll be out doing some overnighting for some stock trout here in northern Saskatchewan. Yeah, so far it's treated me pretty good. I did happen to get a personal best brown trout. But I am looking to improve it a little more, so we will see what happens. I don't want to give away too much. Maybe in the next episode, end of April, I can do a full recap. But it's been good. The conditions are still actually pretty darn good. The ice really hasn't started to degrade much, but I'm sure looking forward to some open water and after talking with Tyler, maybe even a bird hunt here in the spring if we get some snow geese coming up our way. Just might have to get into some of the tactics that Tyler shared with us and see what I can make happen.
For sure, yeah. Jesse just mentioned it there, but we're joined by Tyler Boyle here of Prairie Sky Outfitters. Pretty sweet outfit if you check out their website right before you decide to book a trip, because I think you're going to want to after this episode. But yeah, it's a pretty fun episode. Tyler I had said before we started recording, probably one of the easiest guys to talk to so far in the existence of the show, I think. So that's why we ended up with 2 hours of episode here. So
and I think we sat down in front of the computer for 3 hours total with him, and like recorded for 2 or an hour 45 or something.
I was downstairs here in the podcast room from 5:15 till 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So it was a good one, but like we said, this is a long one. I think the interview part for part one here is about 54 minutes, so we want to get into things here. We've got our sponsors. Actually, not official sponsor here. Wanted to mention that the Riverhurst Walleye Classic registration's live for that. I forgot to mention that in the last episode. The first flight is filled and spots are filling in the second, so make sure you get signed up for that. I'll be fishing it. You can come take my money. It won't be that hard to do. But yeah, it's good to see everyone out there. Last year was my first year, and it was a lot of fun, and so I'm looking forward to this year too.
What date is that, Logan?
It's the Father's Day weekend.
Oh yeah, it's like second Saturday of June, I think is how that works, right? Yeah.
I think the 20th.
Okay, June 20th.
Because the Buffalo Pound Tournament, which I'm also fishing, haven't registered yet, but I'm going to be fishing that, is June 6th. And then there's the 13-14 weekend, which I think is the Regina Beach maybe.
Okay.
Which I'm not fishing this year. And then the Father's Day weekend, the 20th, 21st, I believe, is the Riverhurst one. I should have that for sure. But yeah, those are kind of the dates there, and it worked out well. If you really want to, I think Carson Bell, frequent listener of the show. He is going to be fishing 3 weekends in a row at least with the tournaments. So he's going to be grinding it out there.
It's exciting. So basically, if the people want to steal your money, Logan, they should get signed up in the Riverhurst tournament and
yeah, it's not even
go
stealing.
have a good time.
Like, it's right there for the grabbing. Yeah, it's the 20th, 21st. I don't know why I was thinking it was maybe a Friday, but yeah, 20th, 21st of June. So
nice.
Get signed up there. But hopping into the sponsors, if you're watching the video version behind me here, we've got 13 Fishing Canada, presenting sponsor of the show. A big thanks to them, as always, for being a sponsor of the show. Big thanks to the Rapala Canada family for sponsoring the youth prizes again. I saw some posts there that some of the youth are getting their credits used up on the site and ordering away, getting ready for open water here. So head over to the Rapala Canada website. Use the code Weekend Warriors. Save yourself 15% off your entire order. I just ordered one of the jigging wrap rods, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. So that was one of the myths, I believe. So yeah, head over there, use the code, save yourself 15% off the entire website at checkout. Next up.
Oh, on that note, did you want to talk about the Maven? Because you had mentioned that to me a little while ago.
We could.
Even though like ice fishing is kind of over.
True. No, we may as well. I've seen a little bit of slander online, which I don't think was justified. And it wasn't when I'm saying I'm seeing that. It was from one post, and then people comment under that. But I mean, me and you both ran it. You ran the 10, I ran the 8. That thing, like, electric augers are fast, and I couldn't get over how fast this was. It's so light. I don't know what you want to add with the 10.
It is the most impressive electric ice auger I've held in my hands. I'll put it that way. And I was doing the math last week, thinking about how many holes I drilled with that 10-inch this ice season. I figure I'm up to about 800 holes that I've drilled, and I'm on the same blades. It still cuts just as smooth and as fast in my, like, maybe I should have took a video for my first hole and then compared it to now, but like it's still zero issues. And I've took it to deep. I don't think I hit any sand, obviously, but it's still,
you're definitely in areas where you could have got even just a little bit of sand in there, right?
Yeah. I cut through some sticks, and some mud on my last stock trout trip.
Oh, there you go. Haven't drilled since.
No, it's still unreal.
Yeah.
I got the plastic flighting, and it's all ultra light, and very impressed. And I've beat the crap out of it, and it's still ticking. So
yeah, no, for sure. I've been very happy with it. I find the cover great, but I also don't just pull my auger out of the hole and throw it into the ice and let things freeze like that. So it's pretty easy to have your auger clean coming out of the hole and put that cover on if you want.
100%.
Makes it so easy. I always get tired of those kind of rubber bands that you, with the little balls on them that were used to hold like some of the older Jiffies and stuff. I don't know what some of the newer setups are, but it was great for that. It is a different style of connection there, that the new Hex.
Right. The shaft.
The shaft, and I have the extension for that, and that's been great as well. The only thing you said is there's no Allen key holder anymore. But I tried to get my Allen key out of my 40 volt, like the last one, and I just always carry one around in my rod box anyways. But I was like, that thing's hard to get out of there, so I just went and grabbed my other one when I was running tip ups with the 40 volts. So yeah.
And like at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. I just have mine electrical taped to the upper portion of my shaft, like right below the motor, I guess, or the drivetrain. But that'd be like, that is my only, not even a negative comment, but just like something I would change. But yeah, that thing's a tank, a beast, and it ain't done yet. It's not put away. Like I say, I got a couple 3-4 days of trout fishing left this year, and heck, maybe even in May I might try to go out. So
yeah,
we'll
depending
see
what the ice conditions look like. And I know around home here, like at Buffalo Pound, things are getting pretty clear out. They're not clear. Things are getting pretty light. The ice has gone from that deep blue to like a very light sky blue now. Not seeing too much open up yet, but it won't take a little bit of rain, a little bit of warm weather kind of thing like that, and some wind, and that'll start shifting and
for sure
hopefully be gone soon. But yeah, go shop 13 Fishing, Rapala. maybe some good end of season deals there too for some of the ice stuff. But yeah, go check that out. Use the code, save yourself 15% off. Next up, Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. I just renewed my membership a couple weeks ago. So you should too. I always forget to right at the start of January, even though I mentioned it at least 2 times in January on the podcast here. But you get your membership, you get access to lands as far as hunting goes. You get the magazine. It's just good community to be a part of. And then there's obviously the Master Angler program and the stocking of fish that they do as well. Tons of great stuff that you're supporting. $25 for a membership, I think, was mine. And really, that's not a lot to go towards all the great that the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation does. So huge thanks to them for sponsoring the show for as long as they have. And have you renewed your membership, Jesse?
Yeah, I sure have. Yeah, I did at Big Buck Night at horn scoring.
I see.
Yeah.
And public service announcement. If you haven't renewed your fishing license yet, you should.
That's right.
Especially if you're going stock trout fishing, because it would have expired.
Yeah, March 31st.
Yeah.
And also, on this note, there's a few stock trout lakes in the province that are closed, like a regular fishing lake. So before you're heading up to a lake, make sure you check the regs and double check that it is open all year, because there is a handful of them that are closed April 1st to May 5th.
Yeah, and I think those are shown with a different color background in the regulations, right?
Yes.
Under their name. Yeah, so do that as well. Next up, we have Angler's Edge mapping behind me here as well. This is a great print of Clearwater Lake in Manitoba. They got tons of great prints, tons of great mapping, whether you're running a Lowrance in your boat. Some guys just run a tablet in their boat, and they run that through the Events and Maps app. Angler's Edge did put out a post just recently here saying that there was Events and Maps was purchased by another company, and for the time being, they were halting the Angler's Edge allowing to add any new maps to it. You can still purchase the old maps and everything and still use the ones that were up there. But the thing that kind of sucks is Angler's Edge puts up a lot of their maps in the spring here. So they're trying to find a workaround for that, but you can still access all the older maps that are on there. And when I say older, they're not really old, but ones that have previously been uploaded, like Last Mountain, tons in Manitoba. You got a portion of Diefenbaker as well. They've been going out into Alberta, BC too. So it's pretty cool to see it growing so much. I added a Lowrance to my boat that I got to wire in here before the season gets going just to be able to run the maps. So it's definitely been a game changer for myself here and lots of others that maybe didn't have the time to go out and map lots of the area of Last Mountain or something like that, right? It's nice just to have that, and you can choose where you want to fish a week before you even go out because you got access to the maps.
Yeah, super handy.
Yeah, very, very super handy. Big thanks to Angler's Edge Mapping for coming on as a sponsor this year. You can also buy these prints, like I mentioned, from their website, which are nice wall pieces as well.
Yeah, if you know somebody with a cabin on one of the lakes that are mapped, it's kind of a nice little present to buy for them, whether birthday or Christmas or whatever.
For sure. Lastly, Lac La Marte Lodge. I was wearing one of my favorite Lac La Marte hats in this episode. Couldn't say more great things about the lodge. We talk about it all the time. Been mentioning the last couple episodes. Contact them. There was some dates that I don't know if they're still open. I haven't heard otherwise, but there was some dates, some cancellations where you can get some good pricing on what I would say is a trip of a lifetime for many people. Lots of people are lucky enough that is their vacation or their trip that they do every year. But for most of us, that's a trip of a lifetime, and it will not disappoint, especially with Jesse helping take some of the reins up there. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to add there, Jesse.
Well, you're mentioning your Lac La Marte hat. All their merchandise is available for purchase on the website, nwtfishing.com. Mm-hmm. So you can find contact info to get a hold of Zach Brown on there to quiz up on those dates available and the discounts, and then have a look at the merch store. I believe it just ships straight to your door, and it's made as it's ordered. So
yeah, one of my favorite hoodies is from there too. The Lac La Marte Pike hoodie, I believe. Nice thick hoodie that I wear ice fishing quite often. So big thanks to the crew at Lac La Marte Adventures for sponsoring the show this year. Well, we said we wanted to keep it short. This was about 15 minutes, so we're going to add that to the 54 minutes of this episode. This first part here, we maybe could have mentioned this at the top too, but this first part is going to cover some of the basics of snow goose hunting in the spring specifically. Some of this can be applied in the fall too. I think Tyler kind of talks about that, but this covers a lot of that. I know I felt melted after this episode just because of all this information that I was like, this is insanely impressive and stuff that's like, that makes total sense. Why wouldn't someone have thought about that? But as Tyler says, he's been doing it trial and error for many years, and it's some pretty sweet stuff. So this first part is going to cover more of the hunting side of things for snow geese, and then part 2, which will come in a couple of weeks, gets into maybe some of the more hot topic issues that are going on around the province right now with just waterfowl guiding in general, I believe. So we'll be getting into that. But without further ado, we kept this intro under 20 minutes just for you. Here is part 1 with Tyler Boyle.
All right, episode 115 of the Weekend Warriors podcast is underway. I am joined, of course, with Logan Lewis, and we're sitting down with Tyler, the Birdman Boyle. He is owner-operator of Prairie Sky Outfitters. First of all, Tyler, how you doing, man? Been a while since we talked.
Yeah, doing great. Another great day out here in the spring.
Been staying busy down there, chasing birds, driving all over the place, I imagine.
Yeah, we just get started up here in a couple days, and birds are starting to roll in a little bit, so should be a good time.
Good stuff. As mentioned in the intro here, we're going to be sitting down talking about spring snow geese tactics, and we're going to cover a few other little bonus things near the end. I think this is going to be a fun episode for the listeners. And if you could start us off, Tyler, just tell us who you are, what you do, and just give us a little backstory on you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm the owner-operator of Prairie Sky Outfitters for the last 17 years, and I've immersed myself in the waterfowl industry for about 20 years of guiding, and then a handful of years in retail and stuff like that. So been exposed to most pieces of it too, and I just really enjoy it. It's a passion of mine. My full-time passion has been this since I was really young, and my dad got me into it early, probably in my single digits, and I just expanded the growth into guiding and guiding into ownership and ownership into just a love of the outdoors and a tie into this was the focus I was going to put it into. And the birds have taken over every chapter of my life now. It's how I make my living, and I got a degree through my BCom in the university, and my whole business degree was based around this business and staying immersed in something you love. And I say I'm fortunate enough to do something I enjoy every single day, and you don't feel like you're working. The days are long, as we'll talk about, but it's got a lot of upside for me, a lot of great people.
That's good. How long have you been in the business of Prairie Sky Outfitters? You said 17 years?
Yeah, I've owned it for 17 years this season. Yeah, and we've started out from a small business, and it's grown nicely for us too. My partner and I have put together a couple of facilities and run enough guys through to enjoy our fall. For sure, it's busy right through.
That's awesome. So on the topic, spring snow geese, give us a basic understanding of what these birds are doing and why are there snow geese pushing through? Like, I guess obviously they're going north to nest. But you were saying before we were recording about like a bottleneck, a little hourglass figure. If we could touch on some of that, just some of these habits, get the people in the mind of a snow goose. What is a snow goose thinking right now coming through this province?
Yeah, so you guys picked the one topic in the world that's like the hardest thing to explain to folks, because all your fall knowledge is nearly useless. There's a good chunk of it is not applicable to the spring. If you can imagine the spring snow goose migration, it takes a 8-9 week migration in the fall and condenses it to like 28 days. So the same, anywhere from 5 to 10 million birds come through the same location just rapidly.
Jeez.
And it changes all their patterns. They're racing to a snow line at the beginning, all the adult birds that want to nest, or the beginning adult birds. So they just push the snow line coming all the way up. And then from there, the bulk of the migration comes in behind it. That's what we're kind of starting to see now with our weird snow year we had out west this year. We're not having any moisture at all. And then they push to the tree line, and then they try to put on as much weight as they can prior to jumping the forest to hit the tundra. And that's the reserves they're going to use to nest and build their brood and then molt and then come back down to us in the fall.
Right.
And on your topography question, like the reason Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba are so good is if you think of like the whole top of the migration as a top of the hourglass from Alaska to the Yukon to NWT to Nunavut,
Right.
All those nesting birds get pinched from pretty much from the Churchill coming into the Rocky Mountains, and it builds a natural hourglass shape. And if you look at it on a map, you're going to see that the farmland starts right in the middle, and there's no other farmland east or west. That's
Right.
us. Prior to those birds spreading and dissipating through the continental United States.
Yeah.
And some of those birds that come through here go to California, others Texas, Louisiana, some as far east as Florida, and some jump further down. So we are in a real mecca when it comes to waterfowl because of that just natural topography. And we can push a lot of birds through a small corridor and see big numbers.
And also, I guess because of that, we're seeing a lot of birds that see a ton of pressure that are getting hunted by everywhere along their journey. So like these birds are, as you were saying earlier, they're educated.
Yeah, the most educated. Like the conservation season, I believe, came in the late 90s, early 2000s. And like we've shot a couple of snow geese that are banded that are 18, 19 years old. And like the oldest recorded are touching upper 20s or mid 20s. And that's showing that means there's no bird alive potentially on Earth that has not been shot at for 9 months of the year. Like every one of that whole generation of birds has seen this pressure through an entire lifetime. And the population stayed stable for the bulk of the whole 25 years of the conservation order.
That's crazy. A freaking 15-year-old bird.
Yeah, it's
If
nuts.
it's lucky.
You see a lot of stuff. They see a lot of tricks.
Yeah.
And so-
No, that's insane.
Yeah, go ahead, Logan.
Well, no, I was just gonna say we're gonna get into like I didn't realize how much of a hot topic this was. I guess just lucky timing maybe on our part here with that and some of the rule changes. So we'll be getting into that. But I know Jesse kind of got us started there on that kind of some of the basic stuff that people should understand, or you were kind of mentioning before we were recording stuff that is just kind of, I don't want to say general knowledge, but kind of basic understanding of it. And when people actually go, oh yeah, that totally makes sense as to why they're here, what's going on there. So do you want to maybe dive into a little bit of that? I know we talked about the hourglass figure there, but maybe some of that kind of basic information that kind of comes in handy with all of this.
So on the topic of spring snow geese, it gets to be convoluted in a little way because at the beginning, the birds need a roost and they go to feed twice a day traditionally. In the spring, it's not quite the same. So in the spring, they have a real push because they're so excited to get to the north and they really want to push to the north. So our rule has been you lose a third of your geese every day. So every day birds come in to your area, a third of them will leave every night and they don't come back. However, the migration comes as a bell curve. So the migration comes in small numbers and goes to bigger numbers. You pick up all the next birds as they come. So like when you're hunting migrating birds, the biggest thing on the ground is called a footprint, which is like where the birds are sitting on the ground. That pulls in the next groups of birds that migrate through an area, a corridor. So if you don't have the water for the waterfowl, they'll just keep sliding over it. They just keep moving through an area until they find, call it proper, I don't know, feeding, foraging, and water sources.
Just good conditions for them.
Yeah, almost none of the same variables are available in the fall because the roosts in the fall are all set. Those are all big bodies of water. There's no sheet water. There's no little puddles. It's all stuff that's soaked in already and seeding's done. In the spring, it's almost exclusively sheet water. And the bird behavior,
like
birds
sheet
leave
water
every
being
day.
meltwater from snow and such, right?
Yeah, from the snow and filling the fields. And they're 4 to 15 inches deep. Like it's not anything that's too ugly. And the fields are, in some areas, are 30% water. And that's what they're looking for in the spring, is to roll into an area that looks like a swamp. Like it's a lot of moisture laying around. And their behavior is just to rapidly feed. So their goal now is to put on a bunch of weight, hit the tree line, put on a bunch more weight, and then jump that journey, getting over top of everything here.
To get to the tundra.
Yeah.
So ideally for them, when you talked about the snow line, like if they can find that open water right at the snow line, they'll just kind of like, is that like the ideal area for them at this time?
It's where you start your journey. It's where you think you're going to start. At least I know that. And for us, like our birds now are just starting to arrive now in decent numbers. And we've seen some birds slide by. If you ever look up a neck-collared bird, so that's when they put a tracker on a bird.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when I was a younger hunter that it was going to be like a linear line, a straight line from point A to point B. And we harvested a neck-collared speck this fall. And they sent back all the data from a 7-year-old bird, 8-year-old bird, I want to say it was. So if you know Saskatchewan at all, that bird from some years, it came across at Lloydminster and went east towards Humboldt. And the next year, it came through Lethbridge. We're talking 400, 500 kilometers east-west. The
Right.
next year, right through Saskatoon. Year after that, right through Kerrobert to the west of us. And not one year. On top of that, when they hit areas, they head east-west. The bird migrates north-south.
Yeah.
But they're looking for the perfect spot or get bumped around or follow a new migrant. Like, it's not the same. The extra mileage they burn through is ridiculous. And there's some like information brought in where they have like geese and stuff recorded flying from Peace River, Alberta to Louisiana in 48 hours. That's documented on certain specs.
Holy crap.
Yeah, they don't hit the ground. So it's not like it's there's no magical rule with this where they jump 500 miles at a time. No.
Yeah.
They hit air currents, conditions, weight, and every year is a little different. Every spot's a little different. Again, for us, it has to do with water. Certain parts of the province has to do with pressure, moves them around because there's just so many hunters on them. They just get away from it for sure. And then on top of that, like in the spring, when you start at the beginning, this is like the first basic is scouting. And we tell all our guys, it's kind of setting up where to hunt. 90% of your birds are killed through the windshield. And what I mean by that is when you scout, our analogy is a starting pitcher of baseball. So your scouters, or if you're working for a camp like us, or if you're doing it recreationally, you control the first 8 innings of the game. So you set up a hunt that you're down 10 runs. It doesn't matter how good your guides are. You're going to get hooped. And if you're find the greatest spot in the world, it doesn't matter how bad your guides are. You're going to beat them up.
Gotcha.
So the scouting controls so many variables for you. And if you get a game where it's a marginal hunt in a marginal place and marginal conditions, that's when your guides can shine. They have all the tactics and techniques and things that can fool that bird into wanting to be there if he doesn't, or convincing him to move things around in his brain process as he comes into a field for sure.
Right. So with that, what is the best scouting mobile?
Yeah. Well, Ross is a RAV4 and a lot of hope, but it's in the spring, you're dealing with mud and every other variable and back roads. Anyone can have anything. You can do it in an SUV, a truck. Like, you don't need anything.
Yeah.
We try to cut down on fuel consumption in our area. And as you scout spring snow geese, this is the first chapter of our book. So the spring snow goose migration, unlike the fall, is broken in for us as 3 chapters. The bird behavior completely changes 3 times. And it changes all your scouting, all your tactics, and how you're going to hunt on the next morning.
Jeez.
So right now we're kind of on the leading edge. And then none of this applies for the fall, by the way. In the fall, they do the same thing every day almost. So in our area in the spring, the first push, they're hitting that snow line every single day.
They're the eager beavers. They're trying to get up north.
There's no longer an X. The X is irrelevant. So we hunt primarily fields that haven't had a bird in it ever. Period.
Okay.
Like they haven't had birds in it.
That
But
sounds
you're
like
on
such a gamble because you're like, I think they're
doesn't
going
it,
to
though?
land here. Like,
Yeah. And what you're trying to set up for now is proper topography. So you got to analyze, in our area, we have travel corridors where birds will naturally funnel off of large, topographical items on our area, which is like hillsides, roosts. Like we find some big hill banks to the north of us, and like out to the west of us, there's again a natural trough that comes through areas. And if you go to the northwest, it's the tree line to the north. They run east-west. So if you think of it this way, like in the spring in our area, birds traditionally migrate northwest.
gotcha.
So my birds can potentially come out of like Kenaston this morning that I'm shooting, which is about an hour and a half east of us, or southeast of us, sorry. Or they come out of Moose Jaw, straight south of us here as you.
You're welcome.
And those birds will get up in the morning and push 350 kilometers
Right.
into our area. And then you think like a bird. What do they want? So in the spring, they want one thing, water.
Yeah.
Because they're thirsty and they're tired and they don't know where they're going to get the next roost. So our birds, we do hunt a lot of water in the spring. We hunt 0 water in the fall. It's such a scarce commodity
Right.
that if you shoot your roost, which is like this, the golden rule of goose hunting is don't shoot the roost.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter in the spring because it doesn't exist for a portion of the spring. Again, this fall thing changing to the spring thing is so technical.
And like you say, they're not sticking around for a couple weeks like in the fall, right? Like
No.
they're
A third
you
of them
said-
are rolling through. And
Yeah. So that your turnover rate is super high. So like you can keep shooting a
my
roost,
birds
I
came out of
guess,
Moose
and-
Jaw this morning, right?
Yeah.
They're on Moose
Yeah.
Jaw.
So
So
you're not affecting
we
your
scout,
hunt at all. To just
as
keep
the second
going.
chapter, that's it. As the second chapter of the season comes in, after the first 8, 9, 10 days, they get into the feed mode. And that's where the big, heavy groups of birds end up. And all they're trying to do is just devour everything that moves. So that's where they've set these big footprints around as they keep pulling birds from on the migration just through the nighttime. And they say 80 or 90% of the migration is done at night.
Wow.
If you think about it, if you're running a marathon, would you want to run it when it's hot or when it's cold?
When it's cold and no one has guns.
And then how about when it's windy or there's no wind? Because at night, most of the times the wind lays down.
That's true. Yeah.
So you think evolution has is that bird, he knows exactly where he's going. And then that sound footprint of those birds, so 2,000, 10,000, 50,000 on a calm night, will resonate through an area that's 20 miles. They'll hear it as they're coming into an area. And they get drawn onto that roost and then set down on top of it. So we've had a lot of days where you wake up and 5,000 birds is 50,000 geese.
Man, that's cool.
And it's so cool. It's unreal. And in the spring, you see a lot more daytime migration. In the fall, you rarely do. So once they get into that big feed cycle, you got to start using some fall tactics, getting underneath feeds. But a portion of your birds sleep in your field because there's water there. In the fall, that means you're screwed. In the spring, that means you're in the right spot. And then you'll shoot the local birds that come and feed in your field. And then you'll catch your migrating geese that come out. And then when you go to the last piece, the third piece of the migration, the last 8-10 days, it's juvenile birds and a lot of old adult birds that may or may not breed. They're on the golf and country club tour. They want to relax, eat until they fall over, until they split open with fat. Like they're in no rush because first year birds don't breed. All the juvenile birds don't nest till the second year.
Gotcha.
So if you don't want to be in the tundra eating grass and licking rocks for 3 months, you stay on the barley diet as long as you possibly can.
Take your time. No rush.
Yeah, you're in no rush. And those birds, it's out to a roost, out to feed, back to a roost, sit in the tropical Mexico pool all day, relax, get up in the afternoon, dawdle your way out, eat, and they're on a whole different program. And that changes literally in 9-day segments pretty much. Like you can set your watch to it.
I would definitely be part of that third group, I think, if I was a snow goose.
Those ones are my favorite. I think they're the only ones I can trick in the fall.
Yeah,
the juveniles.
Very easy. They're fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's good. There's I guess for us, and if there's more that you want to get into with that, by all means do that. There's always a difference when you're talking to someone who does it for a living and does it every day and is that dialed in compared to say the weekend warrior for this podcast that gets out to do it say like one weekend or whatever, a couple weekends over the season. So if you were that person, how would you approach it? It's hard when you're in your position because kind of
I was
exactly what
I was a weekend warrior many years ago before I was in college and owned this and got out of high school. That's all I used to do was hunt geese every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's all I had, right? You go to school and jump out. In the spring, I would say save your money and hunt Canada geese, but that's going to be a whole different thing because these things will drive you to drink. These stupid birds are tough. Like they really want to punish you because they get hunted 9 months of the year. And it's a factor that you forget about until you sit back and you're like, wait a second. We shoot them up north in August. We get them here in Saskatchewan, September, October, November. They pound them all the way down and all the way back up to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th week of May. When do they get a slate? June, July, and they're right back on the guns in August. So
and they're shell shocked for June, July.
100. Well, they're really shell shocked in April and May too. So it's a whole different wild. It's crazy. So for the weekend warrior, it's just about, again, windshield time. If you get on top of scouting birds properly and get on top of a bunch of birds, step one is have enough equipment. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time, frankly. Like there's a threshold.
Equipment as in like decoys, we're saying?
Decoys, yeah. So till you get to the very end of the migration, I would say you need 360 to 500 to even play. Like that's the bare minimum to start getting in the field. At the very end of the migration, if you can find those little tiny pockets of birds that are laying their feet up and running sunscreen on them, you can get away with 100 decoys. We've killed a lot of limits of geese over small rigs, but that's at the very tail end. At the very beginning, like we're talking about with these birds rolling through traffic rigs.
Yeah.
We put out 1,500, 1,200 decoys. We get
Holy
big.
crap.
Get real big.
Yeah.
But I guess because
you just gotta, you're not on the X. They don't want to be there. You're telling them to come to you. So you got to build their confidence. You got to get them excited. You got to show that bird enough reason that he wants to come down off his line to use what you're giving him, or decoy into what you're trying to show him he wants, which is water, food, excitement, friends. 100 decoys just can't do this. It's not exciting enough for that bird that's been in these big numbers his whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. But it's a great time for gas prices to go up too, eh?
Nothing to it. Nothing money can't fix. Nothing money cannot fix.
Yeah, that's been my biggest killer. With, like you said, with the windshield time, it's like going around the truck, and just when I was doing it a lot more, even in the fall, it was just like all this time going through and filling up in the morning, night kind of thing. It's like this is starting to hurt the wallet to go out and find some birds.
We talk about it here, how there's just limited young kids that do it, and like when we were young, we did it a little bit. But if you think about the basics, what you need to get into it, it's $300 a hunt at bare minimum. That's a tank and a half of gas, a box and a half of shells each for a couple of guys. And that's without owning any of the gear. If you averaged out gear cost, it's $500 a hunt.
So that's why people should just go with you.
Well, that's the kicker. A lot of guys enjoy going to, that's why guys go to guided hunts, I think, is because success goes so high. And we do it 70 days in the fall, and we do it like 25 days in the spring or so. And we learned a lot of things through hardship and making those crucial mistakes and not knowing it. And we, like a lot of fish guides, we have a lot of fish guides work for me, and I'm a fanatic fisherman, but I'm not a great fisherman. Learning those lessons the hard way is humbling again. 20 years of this, you kind of have most of the problems figured out, but starting back at not the beginning of the book, but the middle of the book, it kind of sucks. And I can see the Weekend Warriors, how this bird is the one, like an elk hunt, I guess, Jesse, as you can probably attest to, it's the hardest. They're just the smartest of the smart. And until you're at that level where you want to commit the time and the knowledge, they just beat the hell out of you. It's fun.
Well, I think that's part of the thing too. I mean, it's the same issue with social media for lots of things, but you go through Instagram and you see these crazy snow goose hunts going on. You're like, oh, that's what I want. And the nice thing is, if you can curb your expectations, like when I'm going out, I never expect to limit out, because otherwise I'd be disappointed every time. Like, I'm happy to go out and get a couple birds. Like that's my bar, right?
Sure.
So when it comes to that, and that's kind of, it's about setting the expectations for that. And then, I mean, I'm someone that likes to do lots of that DIY kind of, if you can figure out a way, learn it a little bit yourself. It's kind of the fulfilling part of it, right? And so that kind of plays into some of it too. But I think once you want to go out and get those birds that higher success rate, that's where I would totally see why someone would go the guided route. Like it's a no-brainer.
Once you get the bug, it's tough for sure. And like, I got into it when I was really young in high school. We used white garbage bags, and I've shot a gazillion birds over white garbage bags. And all it was a Glad kitchen catcher and a quarter or half a cup of sand. You use a twist eye, and it puts out a footprint. And the birds will, to this day, they will look at it. They won't come into it. Mm-hmm. But you're a big enough white thing that looks like white blobs that they looked at us. And as long as you can shoot good, you'd have a 20 bird day over that. And it costs you white garbage bags, because you could put a footprint out that was big enough to excite the bird to at least look at the area.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the problem is what the hell? Why is there 100 white or 200? In this case, I did 900, which it turns out picking them up is not that much fun. And when I was 16, I put that in the back of a Ford Escort GT. So we had like 5 Rubbermaids that weighed about 500 pounds in the back of a car in an 870 pump. And there was it's just so fun to think about the stuff where you started. And nowadays, gear is very, very expensive. Shells, guns, decoys are extremely expensive now. And then you just can't waste money now in the industry like you could before, because you can't afford to. Like, you can't have a misprint on like what stuff you need, what stuff you don't. Well, you just can't afford to have stuff you don't need, because you need so much stuff to get into it. Right. You just don't want to make a misstep and have gear that's useless. And it does exist. There's stuff here that we can use it professionally, but we throw it into the garage in the shop, and we haven't used it since. So there's the basics are like most people use socks, decoys, so and then silhouettes kind of fill in the 3-dimensional version of it, but they'd certainly help for sure in certain areas. And then some guys go to full bodies, but the Weekend Warrior just can't. I don't think you can afford to have a full body.
No one's buying 500 full bodies. No, not I. But I mean, I guess the good thing too, you can still. It's not like you can only use those decoys in the spring. You can chuck them out in the fall too.
That's right.
Like you're gonna use them again, but
Yeah, good justification.
yeah, right.
And the snows are the
It's not-
most
it's not only
cost per
for
use.
28 days.
Cost per use.
That's right. That's exactly it. Because the snows are the most punishing for gear amounts. They're the
Fair.
birds that need the most amount of equipment to kill. Like when we shoot dark geese in the fall, you can run 36 to 100 decoys. That's lots. Ducks, you need whatever you feel comfortable in a mojo. Like you just don't need the equipment
Yeah.
to good on them. White geese, without having juvenile birds, like in the fall where you got all those gray birds,
Right.
you're trying to convince the smartest bird. That means you got to play kind of in his world. You got to fool him on his grounds, not things he wants to look at, it's things he needs to look at. And if he doesn't think he needs to look at them, they're just too edgy now. They're too leery.
Yeah. That's like, I'm trying to like think of a fishing scenario that compares to that. But like, I think of like a small pothole lake trying to catch a 15-inch crappie in where there's 500 anglers every day of the year just pounding them with
gotta be
live
it.
scope and stuff. Like that's kind of the same level as these spring snow goose. Like these
It's
poor
wild.
birds. They're clever.
Yeah, it's super fun. And then like once you learn the advanced tactics of how to do it and things to switch into, and like we started going to things like just present them with something that looks incredibly real. That's our biggest thing, is what they would see naturally or something they haven't seen before.
Okay.
And that's kind of the hint I can say of how to like everyone, if everyone's using 400 or 700 socks, use anything but 400 to 700 socks.
Gotcha.
Because that
So,
bird
like,
is
keep
the
an
one
eye
he
on your
sees all the
neighbor.
time.
What?
Well, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or look online and then we went to a big dark component in our spread, huge dark component. Cause like we ran 400 dark decoys and then a couple hundred whites. And you're allowed to
Interesting.
do that. When they first brought the conservation season, you couldn't, but that white bird then started getting comfortable on a big rig that was something different. They hadn't
Right.
seen a bunch of darks put in the rig. They hadn't, and it made a big difference for us for
That's
a couple
cool.
of years until that
That's
bird
cool.
figured out the next game and they start going to the next thing.
And
So
like,
sorry, Jesse, you couldn't run dark decoys in there? Like that was
When they first brought it in the spring, you couldn't shoot Ross geese, which if you're familiar with them, they're about a third smaller than a snow goose, identical color. And I would say the weekend, if you're the average hunter,
you're
good
taking
luck.
home a limit
Like,
of
it's-
Roskies.
You shoot Ross geese, and they're the dumb ones. They are the food. They are not very bright. So, and originally you could not use dark decoys. So they didn't, for a while, they didn't, I don't believe they allowed blue phase snow goose decoys. So a snow goose comes in two colors. I guess we should have touched on that too earlier, but so he's similar to a black bear. So black bears have what, 4 color denominations, a red, a blonde, a black, and like they have those different colors.
yeah.
So in the mid-continental whites, they come in a blue, which is like a dusky, darky gray blue color.
Yeah.
He's got a bright white head when he's an adult. And then otherwise he's a startling white. And that's a 10% color variation that comes through the birds. So you're allowed to shoot what they call blue geese, which is just a color phase of a snow goose. But when they first brought this in, you couldn't do it. You couldn't use their decoys.
Interesting. And then, so the difference
Yeah.
between a snow goose and a Ross goose basically is their beak, right? Ross goose is orange and a snow goose
Yeah,
is
they got a
black.
short beak. Size, they're half the size, a third
Yeah.
smaller. And their call is a lot more like a beep, not a bark. So we call them beepers, an athletic name for them a little bit. And they are by far, of all the birds that we hunt, except for ducks, are the stupid ones. They are the ones that, if you are again, windshield time, if you can ever get to the point, so when we scout, we have got to the point now where we can look at a flock of geese, and the three things, scouting is such an imperative thing. You guys could do a whole podcast on scouting. I wrote a book for our staff called like The Beginning to Scouting, The Beginners to Scouting, and it breaks down like how to grade a hunt, the variables to consider, and to get to your point, like what do you worry about when you scout? Here's how we worry about it. We worry about bird breakdown. So the number of birds in a field is irrelevant. You can't shoot 10,000 geese. The number of flocks that come to a field, that is what's relevant. 100,000
There you
geese
go,
that
yeah.
come 10,000 at a time is 10 flocks of geese.
Right.
100 Canadas in a field that come in 8s is 12 flocks of geese. You will kill more geese out of 100 big honkers sitting in a field that come in 8s as you will 100,000 whites that come 10,000 at a time. That's 10 opportunities to shoot them and 12 opportunities to shoot them.
Yeah.
And
just
you
blew
only
my
got 3
mind.
shells in your gun. Well, I know, because the
Everyone just
first
looks at
thing the
numbers
snow
in the
goose
field.
Of course. And that's how everyone, that's how I started. Eyes bigger than your stomach, right? Like, oh my God, look at this. 100,000. I'm going to shoot 5 truckloads.
Yeah. The quarter section's full. Don't matter.
Completely full. And then when we scout, if you naturally think about like where birds want to be in a field, again, real basics that us professionals think about that I didn't as a kid. A bird wants to be on the highest hill in the middle of the field.
Right.
Because why wouldn't he? Furthest away from predators. So when the birds are pinned up against the edge of the field around the trees, that means there's no food left in that field. They've eaten all the food off the middle of the field where they want to be. They're now they're telling you a clue because snow geese get a really bad rap for being unhuntable because you can't predict them. I think the average guy can't predict them. Once you learn bird behavior, they're telling you they're not going there. You just didn't read the clues properly to figure it out. And it sucks. So that's where they punish you is they eat fields off, right? So fast. And like a Canada goose will stay in a field for 45 days because there's 200 of them.
Yeah.
Snows will stay in a field 3 days. They're out of food. There's 75,000 of them. So that's where they get the rap for, they jump fields all the time. But wouldn't you if you had 85,000 buddies at the buffet? Like there's nothing to eat. So like you got to analyze that bird on how they eat, how many times they jump in a night. Like when they're sitting down, are they quiet? Are they noisy? And then we look at how many Ross geese are in the flock, how many juvenile birds are in the flock. And the minute you crank your juvies and Ross geese up, it's just a 10x multiplier on birds killed.
Right.
Period.
Right. Because you're going to
ones you don't want to play with are those big dino snows, those really big old geezers. That's the smartest of the most pressured of the most shot at bird. And he is the one that humbles a lot of rookies because he is not going to fall for the simple tricks anymore. He's seen all of them. So
fishing analogy here. Now that my brain's kind of back after being melted by Tyler. So basically, like this is purely a numbers game, right? I'll say, is this a numbers game purely as far as guiding goes for your clients?
We base our hunts off experience. That's all that matters to us. Like, are you referring to like the guest, what they're looking for, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, like when someone's coming for a guide hunt, they're looking for numbers. Like that'd be the majority of people, right?
So in my guiding career, it's the opposite now. I would say 90% are not. Because as long as you get to the threshold where they have a good time, if you shoot 140 geese in the morning or 90 geese in the morning, and we have a private chef that comes in and cooks for us here and a bunch of variables, we have a great facility, and it ties the experience together. When I was young, I thought like you did, like all that matters is numbers.
Yeah.
If you want to shoot the most numbers of birds killed, go to Argentina.
I was just going to say that. Go dove hunting.
There's no limits. There's no laws. You can kill 50,000 pigeons, parakeets, doesn't matter, wherever you want to shoot.
Right.
But up here, it's an experience. And the reason snow geese are also, I didn't mention this, they're the most rewarding. Like all you guys who are fanatic fishermen, there's some fish that are way harder to catch. And when you finally crack the code on how to smash that fish, there's nothing more rewarding.
Right.
Like a brown trout. They're dicks.
And that's where snow geese are. It's like when you get the numbers figured out, like when you finally figure out how to get under them. We had last spring, we shot 17 limits in a row every day, every morning. We pounded them for 2.5 weeks straight. We shot a limit every day. So we shot, it got kind of silly. We shot 1,900 birds in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
In 2.5?
It's crazy.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's a pretty good run for us.
Impressive as heck.
And that's a spring geese. That's not our fall numbers or anything like that. That's just shooting whites in the spring. And we get some years where that number is not that number when you're banging them out often in the morning and try to shoot limits. But the only way to get there is to get humbled, to learn your bird behavior, to understand the patterns, weather predicts them. Yeah. Like on that write-up book, I don't have it here, but the scouting, it's all I can keep getting back to is it's scouting.
I'm not saying my analogy anymore.
Yeah.
Are you too embarrassed about it? You change your mind?
I was just thinking that most people that are coming for guided hunt, they're just looking for the numbers, like getting the shots, whatever, doing that. So I was kind of thinking it's like kind of recognizing what your client's looking for. If they just want to catch fish, you're going to go into that bay. Like I'm just thinking up at Lac Lamar, you're going to go into that bay that you know is just loaded with fish. Like the number of people that have been happy, like they're seeing like 50 pike at one time, right? Like that, there's that. Or are you going to be going and looking for that 50-inch silver pike kind of thing is what I was kind of going to equate that to. So, but I didn't realize that lots of people weren't necessarily just looking for.
So this is where my client doesn't line up with the weekend warrior like I was. When I was young,
Right.
and like you guys probably are, success is based on the goal, objectives. Our guys are coming for an experience. Take me out of the house, get me away from the family, give me a cocktail, let's have some fun.
Okay.
When I was a weekend warrior, when I killed birds, all that mattered was the numbers. And the guys I know that are fanatics, that's all they wanted, because that's the goal. Everything has a goal. For fish, it's size or numbers. For big game, it's all size. And for birds, it's all numbers, because they can't vary that much. There's the odd trophy bird that separates. So when you're a fanatic for it, your goal is to master the skill of harvesting as many of those birds that is legally allowed every single trip out.
Right.
And it's our typical day. I guess we should touch on that too. So a typical spring snow goose day, I want to say shooting time this morning is like 6 a.m. legal, 5:30 maybe, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes us about 45 minutes to drive to the rig and set a rig. So we are up at 2:30 tomorrow, probably something like that.
Oof.
You drive there for 3:30. Takes you an hour and a half to set up. You set up for 5-ish, little after 5. I guess it'd be a little earlier than that. So I guess we're at 3 right now. But the problem in the spring is days get longer in the spring. They don't get shorter. So by the end of the season,
earlier.
so shooting time at our last week, I want to say is like 5 a.m. sharp. Guns are hot.
Wow. Yeah.
So you have to be sitting there waiting for those birds to come off at 5 a.m. And you got to drive there. You got to set your rig. So now you're going, we've had days where there's a 1 on the clock at our camp. 1 something a.m. You're getting out of bed to go kill birds.
May as well call that a late night, not an early morning.
When I was young, you did that. You take the 40-minute sleep now, and in the evening time, you're not done hunting until 9:30. You got to pull your rig. 10:30, 11. You got to drive back. 11-ish. Got to eat supper. 11:30, 12. Got to pack the trailer for tomorrow. Clean stuff up. Get ready to go. 12:30. Go to sleep. Alarm goes off. 97 minutes later. Let's go to work.
This doesn't sound like fun no more.
So
It's not
have you
fish
ran like
guiding.
a night
It's
shift and
not
a morning
fish
shift?
guiding. So we don't. We run our guys double time right through. It's brutal. And this is the downside. Like of all the guiding, I've done the full circuit, and I've been at fish camps. I've been big game hunting in my career, and I guided when I was younger and bounced through the whole circuit. And I really enjoyed some of it. But the bird hunting is the most punishing, and like it's by far the most technical. I think a lot of guys I think agree with that sentiment. Where it's like on fishing, the lucky thing is for you guys, there's fish in the lake. You got to figure it out. Whether you catch them or not, it's an easy selling feature. They're there. On the bird hunting, I can see how the hunt's going to go. I know it before we come back, at least the majority of the time. So you put so much more pressure on the guy looking for it because he controls and knows what's going to happen. And if he knows it's crap, he wants to keep looking for something better than crap. Like he really wants to keep pushing the ability to find the next hunt. And when you're fishing, you say, that's just fishing. And when you're hunting, you go, I didn't find the hunt. Like it's kind of a different variable there for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
So do you have like a scouting crew then and then a hunting crew? Like who's out scouting while all this is going on? Yeah.
So each of our facilities has 2 to 3 scouters per. So in our normal day, we have 6 to 9 guys on the field looking around, trying to find birds. And then we have guys who stay in the field and coordinate the hunt.
Okay.
So between our facilities, like on our changeover day, we'll have 12 trucks driving around looking for birds.
Okay. That makes sense.
And that's how you cover that much area,
some
right?
miles. Yeah, no kidding.
It's where and nowadays now with the pressure and stuff, you got to have the manpower in place. When I started,
Right.
and when I was enjoying a little more than I do now when it comes to effort, you didn't need that amount of manpower. You just didn't. Like the birds were in certain pockets and there was no one pestering them. So you could go check on them in 3 days. But nowadays, you just can't leave birds on the ground. There's someone on top of them too fast, freelancers or otherwise.
Yeah. That's something I didn't realize how, like I knew things were pressured, especially knowing that in the fall. And maybe it's just like you talked about being in the different pockets that you're in, being in a good area, obviously is going to bring more people up there too. But I didn't realize how competitive or pressured certain areas can get. And I don't think the average person would realize that either when they're not out in those pockets.
In the fall, we've had conversations with guys elsewhere and even in our area where guys are seeing between 25 and 40 vehicles a night.
Wow.
Jeez.
So if you find 35 fields full of birds, you can get on 0 of them. Someone already has it tied up. So
That's
it's become
crazy.
this never-ending chicken and the egg race war, and it's just in our area.
Lock down a field and
lock down a field and try to figure out so you don't get the enjoyment factor of it. It's so much pressure. We've tried to take our area. We've looked at sustainable practices and just trying to take pressure off the landscape by We just bought out other competitors and made sure that the local guy in our area is either supported through us donating gear and hunts and knowledge to them, or trying to help out anywhere in the community you can, to try to get locals into it. Like, we hire all local staff if we can, and young kids just don't get exposed to it anymore. They have no idea, A, how to do it, and B, have available. If you're in certain pockets in this province, I don't know if you can get on dirt and enjoy it to the level that was available to you even 5 years ago.
Right. That's going back to the weekend warrior. Someone that can maybe go look for birds Friday after work kind of thing and hoping to find something for Saturday, and everything's kind of spoken for or figured out already.
What you do, if you're a true weekend warrior in areas and we've kind of branded ourselves as community members, not community users. So we really want to keep our focus in on the community. I ask every local hunter I find to call us, and we'll find you a shoot. We'll get you organized. I'll give you gear because I want to see the next generation come up and get into it. I'm not an old guy in the industry, but I know that when I started this 17 years ago, had the pressure been like it is now, I wouldn't own this business, and I wouldn't be doing my dream.
You're walking into a closed door, basically. Like when everything's taken up.
One of our staff members lives in Prince Albert to the north of us here and can't get on dirt, period. Wow. Like, you don't get on anymore. And this is a kid that started, he's 21 years old, and he got into it 5 years ago fanatically, and it's gone. 5 years. The last little pockets of birds he has, he just cannot get on the dirt.
All right. Well, let's say that someone does, right, get permission. They find birds. They find everything they need. You're saying your basic starter kit, 300, 500 decoys spread. As far as that spread goes, like, everyone, I'm sure, probably thinks of a standard V, right? You're going to set up in a V.
For the love of God.
But I imagine
you make me so proud.
That's not the case. Like, you're saying, set
There's
up
a couple
something different. Are you looking? I remember, like, in the very little bird hunting that I did back, pardon my language, years ago. It was like, try to observe what the birds are doing in the field the day before, and how are they spread out, how are they, like, moving, and then try to imitate that the next day. Is there any truth to that when you're doing your flyover sets or your because that's in the fall. I've really never targeted snowies in the spring.
Once you set your rigs, like, we worry about several variables. Number one, if we're going right down to amateur level, like, waterfowl land into the wind. Every avian creature on earth lands into the wind. Like, people don't know that. So our joke is deer hunting, goose hunting. It's the exact opposite way to look at it, right? So you got to analyze the two pieces. So step one is, everyone's like, well, you got the wind at your back. No. You need to know what direction the bird's going to land. And by doing that, guys, this is a great point, Jesse. Like, I grew up, we set a willow blind in the middle of a field, never any plan to it. And we put the decoys in front of the blind in the letter U. Apparently birds can read, or they spell better than I can. I don't know. But once I became a guide, we worry about so many different variables. So the setup is very important still. Like, it holds a huge key. Our focus out of the gates is sound footprint, which is something that never gets discussed loudly. And what I mean by that is, like, the concussion of your guns alerts birds in the area and coming to you about danger.
Fair.
Sounds pretty logical, right?
Yep.
So if you get your roost to the north and you have a south wind, you are going to shoot directly at the roost. So at best, you're going to have nervous birds, and at worst, you're going to knock those birds completely off the roost by just scaring them with the concussion of those guns going off. Yeah. So what we would do then is face east or west. So then you side shoot
your
them.
Sound is
and
traveling.
Your sound footprint goes down about 70%, 60%. Like, it's a huge difference. In the mornings, cold air is much less dense than warm air. Sound footprint goes up almost 2 times. So in the morning, a pa-boom, pa-boom, it's way different sounding than it is at night when the air gets hot and dense. Yeah. So, and your sound footprint then, so your roost birds have to be further away in the morning. They can be closer in the afternoon again. Like, these little variables that stack up, Jesse, where it's, and then by controlling that, if you shoot birds cross instead of head on, so we think this way, birds come right at us, right? Where's he looking at where he wants to land? Right where you are.
He's looking right at you.
He's looking right on you. If you go this way, all he's going to look at is where he wants to land, off to your left. He is not looking at you. He's now looking at a hole off to your left, off to your right, depending on the wind. And by controlling where that bird's focus is, that's where he's looking for danger. Where I park my butt is where I'm going to sit down. It's where I'm worried about something jumping out and eating me.
Yeah.
So it's so basic, but like I didn't know that till 5-10 years into this, where I'm like, you can side shoot these things. Of course you can. Why wouldn't you? And by doing it, birds don't want to land on top of dangerous things, rock piles. So we used to set up as a kid on top of a rock pile, the only place the bird doesn't want to be. And then we'd put it so the wind is directly at her back. So that bird has to land directly in front of and stare at our rock pile the entire time at me.
where there could be danger. Like,
The bird's like, wait a second, that's the last place I want to be. And I have to face it the whole time. And on top of that, the shadow was the next factor. Sun rises in the east and casts a large shadow the other direction, right? It's always casting right into you, right? So east sun, big dirty west shadow.
Yeah.
So if you're facing a blind, especially stand-up blinds, the shadow casts out in front of you. Birds don't want to land into a black hole.
Fair enough. And
So
you say
now
stand
you
up
have
like
the
an
sound footprint and the
A-frame,
shadow.
right?
A-frame, yeah. Ace
okay.
widow blinds, A-frame. And that's where layout blinds still cast a shadow, and we worry about that. But this is the advanced stuff, Jesse, where it's sound footprint, shadows, and just like there's some pieces that keep moving in here that if you are off by 1 or 2 variables, 0% success, or nearly, like you're familiar with.
Wow.
It'd be good. So
You said that
Logan
lots of this
doesn't know what
was.
to say again.
Well, you said before we were recording that lots of this is just kind of like, you said like it's stuff that people don't think about, but it makes so much sense. And when you're saying that, I'm like, this literally.
and it's trial by fire. So like we've gone as far as to like at the end of a hunt, so you cannot use a drone for hunting, but we've gone through at the end of our hunt and ran a drone over top of things and looked at things to see if that's like, and by God, you can see what that bird sees, and it changes everything. Like they don't, we see things at a 6-foot level.
You're saying you're flying it over top of your rig, your spread, your decoys.
100%.
Not
100%.
live birds, just to be clear.
No, not live birds. No. At the end, and to make sure that when you see, what did they see tonight? What did they see this morning? And you pull that thing up and you're like, well, it's right. There's a shadow right there where your flaps on your layout blind can cast a bit of a triangle. Well, there's 8 giant black triangles.
Yeah.
Well, that bird's trained to look for that piece of danger. And when you get days where to sit on the backside of a hill where the shadow covers you, you're invisible.
Right.
Who would have thought that? Like you're in a lentil field that's cut 4 inches high and you're hiding in a shadow on the back of a hill. Birds can't pick you up. They have no idea you're there. And like all these things you learn how to hide in nothing. In our country, we don't have trees and small fields. We have
Let alone hills. There's not a
zero
ton
cover.
of hills in
Not
Saskatchewan.
nothing.
Yeah.
So we deal with the hardest place to shoot them to. Like it's the driest, most punishing landscape where you learn how to hide in nothing on the smartest birds.
Yeah.
Well,
and doing this all in an hour of sleep, thinking about all this.
That's the
So
goal.
that's why you
Yeah,
have a
it's
book,
nothing-
so you
and
can read it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we get our scouters, as I go back to the book, is we get our scouters to rate a hunt out of 10. And like there's variables that go through it. Bird behavior, again, Juvie Ross case we brought up earlier, where it's like, can you break down what's there in front of you? And once you figure that out, how many roosts are there? Because if they come from multiple directions, sound footprint won't matter for at least one of them.
Right.
And when birds come into a field unaware you're there and comfortable in a field they want to be, you just keep stacking variables in your favor. Just keep stacking them and stacking them and stacking them. And the more things you put on your side, like you guys do it guiding, fishing, like a windswept side, more bait fish get smashed into, more likely to have active fish feed. It sounds so logical, but the only reason we know this is because you take enough lickings going, what the hell was that? Why did we not get under them today?
Wrong?
And then, and eventually you're like, what about this? And the minute you do it and then the Rubik's Cube solves in front of your eyes, you're like, huh, that would have been nice 10 years ago. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that's
It's a whole nother, well, I say it's a whole nother world, but yeah, like the why, I guess, is still there. Like there's a reason the birds are landing where they are. There's a reason they're traveling how they are. And same as like fish, there's a reason the fish are on this side of the rock pile. There's a reason that there's no fish in this bay or no fish in these weeds. Like
That's right.
Though I guess you got more visual cues in the bird world, whereas underwater, well, we can't see underwater. We're just kind of using our lure to see.
And that's
yeah.
where live
Unless you're
scope
at
and the little bit of
Watch.
time I've had with that. That's right. That's exactly, we said guides under the water. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's what it is. So that's where I've seen my little bit of live imaging fishing being the first variables to me to start to apply this logical roadmap we did with waterfowl, where you could analyze fish behavior, see where they're sitting, why, water temperature. There's so many there again. But once you solve the pieces of bird hunting, or in this case, like where to start, what to do, how to do it, it's not rocket science. Once you get the rocket science figured out, it's just a little bit of variables, and everything's logic based. Like when you hear the final answer, you're like, that makes sense. Of course it does.
How'd I not know?
It's the dirtiest feeling in the world when you figure it out. You're like, oh my God, that would have saved me so many hours.
Yeah. You mentioned, just kind of go back a little bit here. A couple of minutes ago, you were talking about when this season first came in, and you could only shoot the snows, you couldn't shoot the Ross and all that. How much of a pain was that as a guide when you have clients with you that maybe can't differentiate that quick enough or tell? Like, how much of a pain was that? An unrealistic maybe was that?
No, but no one ran until that legislation changed, and we've seen a big influx of foreign ownership when it comes to pressure in the province recently. Like it's the last 7-8 years. I think this legislation came in prior to that. I believe in my head, a memory today, but prior to that, it was only locals that were out, and the odd freelancer you'd see here and there. It was a nightmare. And as a guide, like I would go in my off season and hunt in the spring without, again, recreationally, not becoming back in your guys' category, not in mine. And it was hard for me 10, 15 years, which is why they took it out. Because at the same time, Alberta put in a 50 snow goose limit in the spring, which included Roskies. Just 50 white birds can die. So eventually our government, which takes our government between 5 and 55 years to change something, it's incredibly efficient for them to think about it after the fact. And then they finally pushed the Roskies across the board here a while ago, and it allowed guys to have a chance. And that's the same thing. It's where there's no one, you'd have to have enough experience. If you're a recreational guy, you were going to get in trouble. If you got pulled over, you wouldn't be in trouble.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And there's kind of that's with any of these rules, is it's kind of trying to make it make sense, but also be practical too. Like you could kind of see what they're trying to do with it, but let's be practical about how easy this is for people to follow the rule too. I think is a big thing there, which I think we've covered this topic for a while here. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a 2-part episode maybe, because we still have some of the other stuff to cover, and you were talking about the pressure and everything there. So I think this is kind of a natural transition. We've covered tons of great information for that weekend warrior or someone that's wanting to get into this snow goose hunting. Hopefully, we didn't scare someone off if they were wanting to, or like, I mean, it can be a lot of fun, obviously, when it works out. But we covered that pretty. Part 1 complete, in the books, finite. There you have it. I hope you guys learned just as much as I know I did from that one. It's probably an episode I'll listen to a couple times just to try and re-figure out everything again, especially going into some of the waterfowl season and whatnot. Tyler's so easy to talk to, and obviously a wealth of knowledge as well when it comes to waterfowl. So big thanks to him for coming on. Did you have any thoughts on the episode there?
Same as you. I'm definitely going to have to re-listen to this one 2 or 3 times. And even as we were recording, there was so many different avenues and ideas that I had wanted to talk about, but then we just keep rolling onto something else. And I feel like we're going to have Tyler on again, or just maybe pick his brain on it some more, because I feel like we've only just scratched the surface on what's going on in that guy's head, because he's the bird man. He knows what is going on, and a lot of that information, 20 years plus experience, and it just makes total sense. You got a guy that's wondering how can he be the best out there, and how he's so driven on to figure out like why things work, and how this day was different, or why this shoot didn't work. And it's amazing to see all these pieces, or to hear him talk about all the pieces that go into it. It was it was brain melting. There was some parts that I was like, wow, I never,
in a good way.
Yeah, it's like I why didn't I think of that? And well, and you mentioned things like so many different things. I could just kind of envision just like 3, 4, 5 different trains of thoughts. Like this is literally my book here, and the majority of that is all from that episode. There's a little bit from the ice camping episode, and then the rest of that was just trying to remember what I had kind of thought of there. And so much information. It was definitely a lot of fun, and like you said,
definitely something we're gonna have to do again when maybe talk about the ducks and dark geese a little bit more.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. 'Cause
Maybe coming up in September 1st for fall opener.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, what we should do is get an episode where Tyler's right in the middle of the season, and he's had 3 hours of sleep in the last week, and see how that one goes.
Oh, he'll be a big fan of that idea, I'm sure.
Yeah. Not even sure what's going on. Just stuck on the pod. But no, really appreciate Tyler taking time. We were lucky to catch him, like he said, before things really get going here. I can only imagine how busy it is. I think that was covered in this first part here. Like we said, It was about 2 hours total recording. So a lot that went on there, but appreciate everyone listening to this one. We're back to the regularly scheduled episodes, which makes for some fun knowledge gaining that me and Jesse get here. Just to close things out here, big thanks to 13 Fishing Canada for being the presenting sponsor of the show. You can use the code WKND Warriors, save yourself 15% off the entire Rapala Canada website. That's all we got for this one. We'll see you in a couple weeks in part 2 of this episode. And I think we'll almost be into the season opener by then. We'll be a couple days away from that in May as well. So things are getting exciting here. Hopefully Jesse has some new PB stories for us come end of April here.
I'll do my best.
That's all we got here. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.